Glenn.
There we go.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Welcome to this industry chat. Thank you for joining us today. We're just going to wait a couple of moments while folks filter in, and then we'll get started. And in the meantime, feel free to enjoy this opening slide.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so just a couple of quick housekeeping items. We just want to welcome you all today to the industry chat. My name is Jenna Quinn. I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni and Affinity Engagement, and it's my pleasure to be hosting this with y'all. As a reminder, we just need to let everyone know that this is being recorded. So what that means for you is that you'll be able to view this again and share it with a friend and any colleague or anyone who you think might get some use out of this. And you'll be able to find that on our website at www.csulb.edu/alumni. Since this is a webinar, we do encourage all of you to go ahead and submit your questions via the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you don't have to wait until the end to submit it, just go ahead and submit it the second it pops into your head, and we'll get that over to our moderator today, which is, I'm happy to introduce Emily Quinn. Emily Quinn earned her undergraduate degree in English Lit at Chapman University in 2017 before moving to Long Beach. She worked at CSULB's Atlas Advising Center while earning her master's degree in English, and currently is working on her single subject credential in English. She is excited to student teach in the spring semester and hopes to teach middle school English in Long Beach once she has her credential. Hi, Emily. I'll go ahead and turn it right on over to you.
Hi, thank you so much, Jenna. I'm very, very excited to be here today with our wonderful industry chat person who I have a short bio for, so I will go ahead and read that for you, and then we'll get started. Originally from Chicago, Illinois, Maq moved to Long Beach, California to finish high school and go to college near his family. After graduating from Long Beach's Jordan High School among the top of his class with honors, Maq went on to Cal State Long Beach for his undergraduate studies, followed by his single subject cleared teaching credential in English and CLAD certification. Maq then went to Cal State Dominguez Hills to obtain his master's in education. In total, Maq has 2 bachelor's degrees in Liberal Studies and Africana Studies, a teaching credential in English from CSULB, and a master's degree in Multicultural Education from Cal State Dominguez Hills. Welcome, Maq.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So first off, let's start off with a little background. Can you tell me about your experiences and what led you to CSULB?
Well, for the longest, I was going back and forth between Chicago and visiting family between Long Beach and Compton. And my aunt, which I call my auntie Ma, she graduated from Long Beach State. And between Long Beach, Jordan, and kind of hanging out and ended up relocating to Cali, Long Beach State ended up kind of feeling like that, the back house, if you will, of home. So I decided, you know what, go ahead and go to Cal State Long Beach, and was excited about it because it wasn't too far from home. And at the same time, I mean, look at our campus. We at the beach. So
you can't beat the beach.
So and so it was that support system was there, and absolutely love it.
That support system is so important. I 100% agree. So in terms of your student experience at CSULB, were you in like clubs, different activities, jobs, that kind of stuff?
Started out in the dorms. And it's interesting because I started out in the dorms, of course, for 2 years I was there. So that's a whole world in itself. And that was so much fun. Highly recommend every college student, if they can, try the dorms. It's just a total different experience that I love. Parkside Commons, shout out. I also worked on campus as well as off campus. So on campus, I worked, of all places, Africana Studies office. As a student worker, I was there also in the Tesla offices. We had a couple of different offices that I was able to student work there. And I also worked in the school, actually. So that was kind of cool. And that's was my beginnings to work and everything. So that will be my club affiliate, as well as I was also part of NESB. What else did I do? Intramural sports. Just kind of ran around and just really and truly did the whole little college experience. Tried a little bit of everything while I was on campus, mainly.
Which intramural sport? I'm curious.
A little bit. We did rugby. I was gonna try golf, didn't make it that far, and I did fencing as well.
Oh.
Fencing was fun. It was something totally different and out of my reference at all. I had no reference, no clue, no nothing, and ended up trying out fencing.
Takes a lot of control, a lot of patience.
Yes, that's definitely true.
Very cool. So in terms of going into your field, was that intentional? Did you always want to teach, or how did you kind of find your way there?
I literally started out as an engineering major, and then I really did, through meditation and prayer and going back and forth and just really searching and finding myself along the way as a student and a scholar. Teaching was my logical landing place because I've always wanted to work with youth.
Very cool. That makes a lot of sense. And definitely opportunities to do that in engineering, but a little bit more straightforward as a teacher.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you always want to teach English?
You know what? I decided I wanted to teach English because once I decided on teaching, there was a couple things that came up. English is the most universal of our single subjects, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Even though I have the same book, I can teach it 15, 20 different ways and never get bored of it. And I also wanted to be the teacher that I always wanted that I never had. And English allows for that to be a reality.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of teachers go in wanting to be that one teacher that they knew and loved, or that one teacher they always wanted, but never actually got. Awesome. Awesome. So now, of course, you're teaching at Hesperia High School, right?
Yes.
What does a typical day look like for you in that position?
Typical day, well, we start at 7:30. So first things first, get up, go to the gym, get there, get my day started. A lot of our curriculum and approach is technology-based now, given everything that we've kind of transitioned through. So making sure that Google Classroom is up to date and running, making sure if we're having slides that day that they're ready and the kids are are ready to access those. Have to start my music. I cannot start my day without music starting in the classroom to get me going. Otherwise, I literally sit there and I'm kind of on pause. So get the music going, get everything going. Technology's going great. Everything is good. Then go ahead. Always greet my students. And if music, for whatever the reason, is not playing, they will fuss and say, "Hey, what happened?" I was like, "Oh, excuse me. I forgot to press play." And then go ahead and go, so that type of thing. And I greet them first, talk to them, say good morning, good afternoon, how you doing? Check in with them and then get our day going. And awesome. Of course, I'm there until the wee hours of the evening as well. But that's just what teachers do.
Right. Par for the field.
Yes.
Of course. We've got a couple of questions that had come in. So this one is actually the same as mine, so I'm going to ask it first. What kind of music do you like to play?
Well, hip hop has turned 50 this year. So I'm a lover of hip hop, 90s music, R&B, jazz even, but hip hop is my thing. And it's interesting because it kind of blurs lines with a lot of the tunes and things that my students like as well. So it kind of mixes it up a little bit.
Yeah. Very cool. And then gonna backtrack just a little bit. We had a question. I know you mentioned that you switched from engineering over to teaching through prayer and meditation. Was there a specific moment where you realized you wanted to make that switch, or anything specific like happening in your life that occurred, or just kind of over a course of time?
Well, you know what? It was a combination of really assessing and digging into my support system. And shout out to Debbie and Dave Holland. Debbie is still with us. Dave is no longer with us. They were my mentors, and they were some of the lanterns that, you know, made the way visible for me. And just really going over that and having those conversations and reaching out, and the EOP program, shout out to them, because they went through, I took them from A to Z in trying to figure out a major setting. Shout out to Dr. Philip Humphreys, because I got on that man's nerves. I know I did. Because every single time I had a question: can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? What about this? Can we do this? And just having the sounding board and the opportunity to ask all of those questions and to try some classes and to see, it kind of helped me to get my way established.
Definitely. Yeah. So going back to that support system for sure.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I too love learning all about people's journeys, especially as we switch majors, and so many students switch majors.
Yeah. Definitely teaching is my calling. It is a divine calling. I will honestly, straightforward, beginning to the end, it is a divine calling.
So what's the most rewarding part of your job, being your calling?
You know what? I love the fact that a lot of the trauma and different things that I went through as a kid myself, it's weird, but I have it as a reference to help kids. It's one of those things to where these are some of those things that you can't learn in a classroom per se, but you have it as a reference because life kind of led you that way. So that worked out to being able to watch the kids start to believe in themselves and watch the light bulb come on for them. That's definitely, that's my moment.
Does that lead into the most challenging part of your job when that doesn't happen, or are there other bigger challenges that you face right now?
Well, here's an interesting thing. Now, so there's bigger, because of course the face of our profession has changed. And also we look at the idea that where we went through education, and it was like, okay, we're preparing you for the jobs of tomorrow today. Mm-hmm. So now we're preparing kids for jobs that haven't even been invented yet. You know, so here it is, we're trying to figure out what that looks like, and also bring them in and teach them self-care, teach them how to manage and figure out life in addition to education. And again, that's not stuff that they teach us readily in our program, but that's a for real thing. You know, it's like, okay, you're hungry. That's why you can't remember anything. That's why you can't focus. You didn't eat. Hot Cheetos and soda is not breakfast, you know?
Yeah, and a skinny slice of pizza is not a great lunch. You gotta
exactly.
Yeah, gotta have those first needs met in order to keep going. Yeah, and in the program, I know right now we do a lot of work with just social and emotional learning and intelligence and that kind of thing. So tying into that. We did have another question from the Q&A. Do you think mentors can be a big support, especially to underrepresented minority students? And if so, how do we reach that population? What's worked for you?
Okay, highly recommend a mentor. And I will put it this way. A mentor, you have to go advocate and get your own mentor. And I'll tell you why. My mentor, like Debbie Holland, retired teacher, on her way out of the profession, she was awarded Teacher of the Year for LA County. So you want to have a mentor that kind of knows your space and where you've gone so far, that can also show you remnants of what it is that you want to learn and what you want to see in our field. So you need a professional mentor. You might need one that's almost like a life coach. And you need somebody that will help you to self-correct and figure that thing out. So it might be, you know what, she was my teacher, so I'm going to talk to my favorite teacher. Or you know what, I had a teacher that I just did not understand, but all of a sudden what she was trying to get me to understand is making sense. Maybe I'll get the courage to go talk to her and say, hey, you know what, I just got a couple questions here or there. I just want to be able to check in because I'm studying to do what it is that you're doing. And I don't quite totally get what I need to know from here, where I am right now as a student, to here as a professional me. What's in between, you know? And sort of, you know, that's where it starts. But there's no agency I can necessarily say other than, I mean, well, shout out to our alumni program, because I mean, we're bridging. So hey, that's good.
Yeah.
But definitely find somebody that's doing what you want to do and make them your mentor. Talk to them, you know?
Gotcha. And I love that you mentioned like reconnecting to past teachers, even if they
Yes,
weren't like your favorite teacher, maybe, but just going at them with those questions to
yes,
learn more.
yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I love all the Q&As we're getting. This is so fun.
Good.
What are some of the most important wrongs you work to address in your classroom, and how? And wrongs is in quotations.
Okay, so wrong, I would say it's interesting because our students sometimes forget that we're human. And sometimes they forget that we also have feelings. At the same time, we have to show them how to publicly deal with disappointments, publicly deal with and correct some of the things that we feel that are inappropriate. Like, for example, kids now unfortunately have no filter with respect to profanity and whatnot. So we kind of gauge showing them other ways to handle vocabulary. Um, and wrongs can be some of anything. It's just leading with grace and love. If you start there and model that, though, you have to model. I mean, something as simple as, okay, you know what, guys, I'm not feeling it today. I'm kind of in my feelings. So let's work together, because if you go to cut me, I might cut you back today. It's just one of those days. I love you, you know.
Right.
So those type of things, let them see that we're human, but also showing them, because we might be the only adult that they actually see going through whatever. And at the same time, we might also be the only adult that shares space with them in the classroom, to where they're comfortable enough to sit back and say, it's like, okay, I'm getting ready to have a meltdown because of what happened at home, before I left the house. That's
Right.
what's in my backpack. Not your homework that you want me to turn in today, but all of this extra residue and things, that's what's in my backpack. So meeting them as people first, as tiny humans first, will carry you really far.
I love that. Yeah. And the modeling, like you said, just
Yes.
making sure to show what you expect by doing it yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And how to deal with things when they're not going your way.
Yeah.
They need to see that.
Yeah.
Temper tantrums at 15, 16 years old, technically even 9, 10 years old. No, not so much. We got to do it.
Yeah. Let's use our words. Let's figure out what's actually happening here.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I like that you mentioned just handling profanity in the school. I feel like, especially within English, there's so
Yes.
much code switching that happens across all students. How do you
Yes.
navigate teaching like essay writing, which tends to be a little bit more academic English, versus like how they, talk to their friends and that kind of thing?
That's a big push, and it's interesting because we've done a full evolution of what writing should be according to our standard, and then what writing, unfortunately, is to a generation that's stuck to 140 characters or less. So it's really and truly, it's a lot of, I'm going to hold you accountable because this is a formal piece of writing that, even though I know what IDK is, or I think I know what it is, the one time that you use it and you don't mean I don't know, I'm lost.
Right.
So let's go ahead and remember, check your audience, also remember words have power, and show them different layers of that so that they understand. It's like, oh, this is a for real thing. Yes. Am I going to pull out the regular dictionary today, or do I have to go get the urban dictionary to figure out if you just called me out of my name? So, and I literally dramatize that for them. And it's like, you do extra at times. Yes, I do extra. Why? Because this is your last safe space before you get pushed out into the real world, and you say the wrong thing in the wrong space, it could really be complicated for you thereafter.
Right.
So yes, I'm going to hold you accountable.
Just to build them up.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. How do you promote agency within students, like just through their writing or speaking abilities?
You know what? I force them to look at themselves, and sometimes I've literally even had kids, and I wish I had a picture of it to show, but I have a board in the back of my class that literally says, meet the one that's responsible for your grade. You are also your best advocate. I could advocate for you, but at the same time, I need you to understand that here is the standard that you're expected to have. Let's have a moment. Let's get you to check in with you to figure out wherever you are in respect to where you should be. I want you to own it. Let's talk about it. Let's go ahead and peel back those layers, because you in that mirror is you the mirror, and me, so that I help you get to being okay with the one that you're looking at in the mirror. That might mean you need to come to two. That might mean you need to rewrite a couple papers because you didn't write it perfect the first 3 times. It's okay. But I need you to trust me and trust the process, and know that I'm going to lead with love, but I'm also going to tell you the truth. And that's where I begin every single time.
Yeah. Tying right back into that social emotional learning, that reflective process to
Yes,
get good in, get good out.
that's it. Exactly.
Let's see, you mentioned that well, we were talking about writing just in general. AI is obviously something everybody's kind of talking about right now. What role does that play in your field, in your classroom? How do you talk about AI with students?
You know what? Well, okay. So peer-to-peer, colleague to colleague, we're trying to figure out how we land on it, because my thing is, if I can't get you to have your phone be put away, at least let me make it academic. And since I can't guarantee that you know how to make your phone academic because you've shown me so many other things that you do with it, I don't even want to deal with you in AI per se in the classroom setting just yet, because you don't have enough discipline to use it the proper way. For example, now let me go old school. Remember when Cliff Notes came out? We had Cliff Notes and Spark Notes. So where we would use them as a reference, we would have conversations with Cliff and Sparky, and then see, based on what we read, if it made sense to us.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are no longer doing that. They're copying and pasting chunks of Cliff and Sparky and saying, it's my work. No, it's not. No, I can show you where it's not. See those little funny little markings right there? I know you don't even know how to find those on your keyboard. So that tells me you copied and pasted. We're just going to start there. And so those things, so teaching them to turn things into academic usage is one. So that's why I tend to stay away from AI with it. Now, my colleagues and I are shopping it, trying to figure out what we can do with it and compete with it, because after all, we're feeding AI. We've been feeding it since it was in its earlier stages, not realizing that we're basically giving it a lot of the oomph that is given back, which has its pluses and its minuses. You sit back and say, okay, so now what's happened is a lot of what I've understood AI to do is, in a lot of ways, at least with our credit recovery program, it's basically replacing teachers. So you would have one teacher per subject, per class for credit recovery. Now you might have 2 or 3 teachers to run programs like Edgenuity and different education platforms that are driven by AI, that basically step in and replace us. So that's where the mixed emotion comes in at. But if you use it as a reference, use it as a tool, it becomes handy. But you just got to balance it and still, personalize it and put you in it. So you say, hey, you know what, Mr. Bot, sir, would you please give me this reference letter for graduating senior? Boom, you'll get the letter. Now I got to go back in there and make sure that I do, put my voice in and everything. And while I'm trying to get my students to find their voice, I want them to struggle. So I don't introduce them to AI just yet, because I want them to struggle, because the lesson is in the struggle for them.
For sure. Awesome. Thank you. I know that's a big deal right now, especially in the teaching world. So I love hearing different opinions on that. We got a really cool message that says, I love as a Black man. He is a teacher of English. So lots of love from our students to you, Mac.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
What's something you're most proud of doing as a teacher? And then there's one more question, but I want to stick with this one first. Okay,
as a teacher, you know what? I really enjoy showcasing my students' work. So for example, pretty soon we'll be getting ready for Black History Month, and I'm hoping to do another unit on protest and have the kids pull together their their interpretations of different protests and how it might be historic or modern day-ish, how it impacts them today. So I just love really just stepping back and letting their hard work shine through. Now, granted, we didn't shed tears, we didn't bled, we didn't fought, we didn't done all of this in the back, getting ready to this moment. But I love seeing them celebrate. Love seeing my students celebrate.
Are you one of the teachers that will put the student work up in the room so that they remember and recognize
Yes.
and see how far they've come?
Yes.
I love that. Awesome. And then the second part of that person's question was, what's something you wish schools, administration, what's something you wish schools or administration would change in order for students to be more engaged?
You know what? Honestly, I would love to see like an old school townhouse type meeting that really addresses technology for the beauty or the beast that it is. I'm even the superintendent. I would love to see administrators from the different schools in the area come on a panel and say, okay, hey, you know what? Here is what we feel about technology usage on our campuses. Here is why. And then let the kids go ahead and clap back and chime in and say, okay, this is what we feel it to be. Because if we continue to sidestep the elephant in the room, it kind of takes away from, we have 55-minute periods. If I'm spending 20 of those minutes, put your phone away, take your headphones off, put your phone away, listen again. Okay, now I got to take the phone, send the phone down to the office. Those bits and pieces like, okay, no, here's the standard. Here's what so-and-so in Miss Jones' class down the way lets us use our phone. But are you using it academically? No. Okay, well, why are we having this conversation?
Right.
So, so movements that way that'll address bettering the learning environment and the learning space and talking to the kids. Because after all, we're here for them. So what do they need to be the best of them that they can be?
Right. I love that. The next question totally goes along with that too. What kinds of technology do you find work best in the classroom versus what doesn't work well? And then how do you stay up to date on the new technologies, which I think that town hall kind of meeting could really help with.
Yes. You know what? It's crazy because I'm in the middle. And I say I'm in the middle because I literally went from an iPhone 7 to an iPhone 14. It just took me a minute to catch up,
Sure.
So I look at it like this. If I can turn whatever piece of tech academic, it's useful to me. Whether it be a Chromebook, which it needs to have internet to work. So I'm kind of on the fence about Chromebooks. I definitely want something with a keyboard, though. Tablets are great, phones are great, but in a formal setting, when whether it be a principal, whether it be a panelist, or whether it be someone that says, hey, Mac, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. I need to go to a keyboard. I need to know how to use that keyboard. And me, just dating myself a little bit, I learned how to type when I was in 5th grade. That was, I just learned how to type in 5th grade. So I would definitely say a piece of tech that a kid is going to be able to use academic, that students will be able to grow into from secondary school into the beginnings of college and have a reference. And I still think that a laptop with the actual keyboard is important. And I think that'll be the best tool for them, because what happens when they go take an online test? They got a keyboard. What happens when they go try to get their driver's license? Yep, they got a keyboard. So the dinosaur-ish versions of tech work best because it still forces the student to think.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then what kind of technologies don't work as well? Obviously, you talked about like anything non-academic is not going to work
Right.
as well, but is there anything in particular?
You know what? Well, see, it's weird because as long as I can make it, like, for example, I have where we would just have the whiteboard and the markers and everything. A lot of my information I put on slides so that, one, we could reference them in class. I could change them really quick. I don't have to erase and start over and then do the same thing again 4 more times in the same day. So I make the slide, but then also for the kid that's not there, I can upload it later and they have it. So that works well. So the screen, that third screen, if you will, that's in addition to the board, is working. Any type of interactive platform that allows kids to take notes is great.
Mm.
Um,
Do you have any recommendations for that?
you know what? Most of everything that's been done, like interactive notebooks and whatnot, has been something that a teacher has designed. Like even with my slides and whatnot, there's a layer of my slides that if you're in class, you see one layer of slides. You also have access to the slides later, but they're outlined form so that you still have to do something with them. So that interactive piece has to be there. But offhand, like we use Google Classroom. That's the biggest. As much as you can gamify academics is working, Kahoot, quizzes, Ed Puzzle, those pieces kind of work. But anything that, again, that slides, because you're tapping into all of the different modes of learning to accommodate a kid's strength while supporting where they're weakest in academics. You know, so it's kind of, you really got to almost go kid by kid.
Yeah. And do you do anything specifically to stay up to date on new technologies? Like, does the district provide that, or do you just, what do you do?
So the weirdness of it is, and this is going to sound cheesy, but it's the truth. I will go from time to time to Best Buy and literally walk around and just kind of tinker and play with what's new with respect to computers and mobile tech. And then from time to time, I'll literally go to Barnes and Noble and check to see if anybody's having a conference or see what's going on in the magazine section to see what's popping and what's going on there, you know, to kind of get a reference and then dig in from there.
That's awesome. I love it. I can totally picture you just walking around Best Buy.
And that's exactly what that's what I do. It's like, so, and this does what? So can I plug this into a computer screen? Well, what kind of screen? Let's say one is probably about the size of a window. What? Big screen. I'm a teacher. I just need to be able to plug into a big screen.
Right. And how many wires do I need to be able to connect that?
Exactly. That part.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's see. We've got a couple more questions. Love the Q&As coming in. Thank you, everybody. As a teacher of English, do you ever get frustrated with the push for STEM? Shouldn't the push be for English and literacy? Because if children can't read, how are they supposed to do the math and the science?
Yes. You know, it's interesting because for the longest we would get the push coming our way. Well, I'm not going to teach literacy. I'm not going to teach reading. No, that's for the English teachers. They got to read over there on your side of the tracks too, sir. You know, who's the one that wrote the manual that goes with the speaker system that I thought looked one way in the store, but now that it's in the box, it don't recognize it. It's like, wait a minute. So, you know, so playing back and forth, and I love it because I'll get the knucklehead. Why do I have to read? Okay, well, tell you what. Can you put that together without the manual? I don't even know what that is. Exactly my point. So now go ahead and start with the pictures. What do you mean start with the pictures? The pictures will help you to start. Then you need to read the in-betweens. You know, so I'll pick and choose and make them go that way. And it's crazy because I literally sat and watched. I go in and I just kind of invade STEM space and I'll sit there and I'll watch and I'll try to figure out, okay, I can turn that English. I can turn that English. That's already English. They just don't know it, you know, and that type of thing, you know, and play with it that way. And, you know, and just sprinkle it because STEM is still going to be STEM, but until they realize the word is still the word, you know.
Got to be able to figure out what everything means in context to.
Yes, and then code switch it to whatever discipline of science that we're working with. Oh, that's the mathematic term. Yes, but it's also an English term. So can we agree to marry the two so that the kids will know?
Yeah. Do you connect with other teachers in your school for that specifically, or do you just like go and sit in on classes? Or
I do both actually. Shout out to our robotics program here at Hesperia High School because we have a really cool guy, Randy Lockey. He's one of the guys that's like almost grandpa age, but he's the type of teacher that started out as the professional version of it first, and then came into teaching. So he has the real life application already. And his biggest thing is if my students can't read a tech manual, I don't care how simple, how big, how small, I start there. And that's just his philosophy, which makes sense because you figure if we're given something as simple as a recipe, it's okay. Hey, you know what? I want you to make peanut butter cookies. The only problem is yours have to be crunchy. Yours can only be creamy. Then on purpose, switch the recipes and see if they catch it.
Mm.
You know, and teaching them those types of things and getting them those real life applications. Because he fusses. It's like, if you don't read my manual, my safety manual, I put you out of my class. And I've seen him put kids out of his class, you know,
Wow.
because they wouldn't. It's like, that's too much reading. No, that's a liability that you need to be accountable for. So, yeah, reading is your friend. It's not my thing. It's not my thing. How dare you tell an English teacher that reading is not your thing?
That's our whole thing.
Exactly.
Amazing. Let's see. We've got, oh yeah, a couple more. Okay, great. Let's see. What will it take to get more Black men into the classrooms, leading, inspiring, and teaching all students?
Well, now, let me tell you a short story. Shout out to Dr. Marlana Karanga, which is Africana Studies chair and mentor of mine as well. He told me the higher up you go in education and the closer you get to your field, the lonelier it's going to be. So that's a long drawn out way of saying I don't know, because again, it's a calling for me, and fortunately there are not many. There are not many. I've worked in districts where I've been the only one. I've worked in a district where I was the only person of color, yeah, that is taught English, or there wasn't a coach. So I don't know. It's an interesting problem to solve, because I'm not sure why it's a problem in the first place.
Hmm. Do you think programs like the teaching programs at CSULB should be specifically going towards more students of color and saying, hey, we need you to lead, you know, the next generation and that kind of thing? Do you think they should be doing more, or do you think just communicating with the students in general so that they come to that conclusion on their own?
I want to say it's more of a general thing, because I'll tell you why. We have a program, I believe it's still there, McNair Scholars Program, that was as a result of a foundation sponsored by Ronald E. McNair. And basically what it was is it taught us undergraduates research. And I was in that program as well on campus. And it taught us how to do research. It taught us how to present, do presentations and whatnot. And the focus of the program was to get us back to being university professors. So more programs like that, I think, would be meaningful. But it also, at the rate we're going and what we're seeing, it needs to be a general push to have those conversations and open up those spaces for our BIPOC population, for men. Because I still think that our field, unfortunately, is a female dominated field, which is perfectly fine. But how do you navigate the space to recruit more balance and to have more diversity within it? I don't know with that one, because I don't know. I really don't know, because our field is changing so much. It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. And can I just say, I really appreciate you being able to say, I don't know the answer to this.
Oh,
love
absolutely.
that.
I appreciate it. That's what us as teachers, one of the first things we must be able to do
Yeah.
is let a kid know honestly and truly, being transparent. Is like, you know what? I don't have an answer to that, but we're going to find out together.
I love that. Yeah. I feel like, I know I personally did, but a lot of people just growing up in, the different education systems that didn't have teachers willing to admit that, who would, pass it off, or that's not important, or that kind of thing. So being able to just be honest with them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
We have, one more. Let's see. Do you have strategies for engaging and involving parents? And do you think parent management is as important as classroom management?
Yes, and yes. So first things first, at the beginning of the year, I'll try to reach out to my parents, whether it be by newsletter, like an intro letter, or even a phone call, and introduce yourself. Back to school night is great if it lands in the right spot. So what you would do is this: if you have back to school night coming up, you try to reach as many of your parents to come through to see you as possible. And you focus right after back to school night on the ones that did not come. The ones that did not come. Reach out to them and start those relationships with the parents before there's a problem. Find a reason to reach out and say, hey, you know what, I miss you, or you know what, I just wanted to talk to you about your student today. and just start there. So when it does become problematic, you already have a neutral reference to get started, and kind of go with it from there. You have got to meet parents and kids as people first. You have to. As much as we have tons to get to curriculum wise, yes. But if we don't start with those relationships, parents included, we going uphill with roller skates on.
I love that. I heard from just like observing and other teachers too, that oftentimes when the parents, for whatever reason can't be as involved in the student's life, sometimes siblings or aunts and uncles or other members of the
Yes.
family, do you try to engage with them as much as possible as well?
I do. One of the things I have learned in reaching out to the auxiliary family and extended family, make sure if it's a sibling that the kids are okay with each other, kind of, sort of, that they kind of respect each other. Auntie, same thing, just, you gotta be careful, but definitely it takes the entire family to raise a child, you included, and so definitely that, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the ability, especially if students have siblings in the same school,
Right.
to be able to connect them and
Yes.
get whatever message you're trying to get across.
Yeah, another thing to do too with the embracing technology, and it just came to me, use the whole concept of recording a video and putting that in Google Classroom, because that'll carry you far too.
Okay. When you say recording a video, do you mean like lectures or?
Rather be a mini lecture or just something small or whatnot, or even instructions to an assignment, and also have the kids some kind of way force them into bringing in their parents to their homework and to different assignments and projects that they're working
on. Right. Yeah. How often do you feel like you have the ability to bring in whatever the students are into at the time and translate that into your content?
Oh, I try to do that at least, honestly and truly, 70% of bringing their real life into things, whether it be music, whether it be things that they're interested in, whether it be trends, whether it be fashion, whether it be leisure time, whether it be something silly that I saw on TikTok that I could turn academic. Whatever it is that I can use, like I said, I grab a hold of it. Just like we were talking about Roblox and the whole thing with headless, and the kids were tripping out over that. They was like, wait a minute, you know about Roblox? Yes. Do you play? No, but I know. I say, if you think I'm not telling the truth, you ask one of your friends that play it all the time, what's the whole story with headless and why does he cost 31,000 Roblox? And they said, the man even knows Roblox. Yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit.
Just enough to talk to you about it.
Exactly. That's what I do.
That's all you need.
Yes.
I love it. Well, we've got time for just one more question. So I did want to ask, what advice do you have for 49ers interested in entering your field?
Family, first and foremost, find yourself a mentor that is doing what it is that you want to do at the level that you intend to get to. If you have old teachers that you can reach out to, talk to them. If you have a teacher that you admire that's doing what it is that you want them to do, and you want to mimic them and try to figure out how they make it look so easy, start talking, start checking in, but get a mentor that's a professional one and one that's even a scholarly.
Building that support system, those
connections.
You have to.
You cannot do it alone.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Well, thank you both so much. That was a fantastic 49er industry chat. I think I learned so much about what you do, Maq, and your story, and it inspires me. Like I would say I'll go be a teacher now, but I think I'll leave that to more professionals like you guys.
Appreciate the love. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and please,
and
my contacts.
Yeah, I was just about to get into that. Like the screen we have up right now. Again, you can find this recording at csulb.edu/alumni to watch again and share with a friend. And also to keep in contact with us. Feel free to follow us on any of those platforms there. But if people wanted to continue this conversation with you, Maq, how might they be able to get
Would you please give them, definitely give them my email address and just have them reference family. As you guys reach out to me, just let me know what I can do to help, what perspectives you need. And if I don't have the answer, I'll help you find it. Please give them my email address, maq.mcnair@hesperiausd.org. Or if you want to text me, you can text me at 714-584-4158. I'll get back to you ASAP. Please reach out. If anything I can do to help, let me know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for your time. And we can't wait until the next 49er industry chat. And again, thank you all so much for joining in, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, family. I appreciate you. Bye.